Hello students, a very good morning. So students, in last class we were discussing our chapter mechanical properties of fluid, and now we are going to near about end our chapter by the discussion on the last topic that is Bernoulli theorem. But before that one, let's see one more topic, and after that we will discuss that. So I think up to now the hydrostatic and hydrodynamic properties of mechanical this is called the mechanical properties of fluids, and that is all clear. So let's see now our topic of today, that is energy of a liquid. So energy of liquid, this topic we were discussing in last class also. So in previous class, as we have seen, the liquid that is possessing three types of energy. First is pressure energy due to the pressure variation, second is kinetic energy due to the motion of liquid, and third is potential energy due to configuration of liquid. So these are three types of energies that is possessed by the liquid. So we will have discussion on these three topics. So first topic we have discussed in last class, that was pressure energy. So let's start to discuss our topic with the second type of energy, that is potential energy. So let's see now the second, that is potential energy. So as you know already, the potential energy, that is the energy possessed by the liquid by the virtue of its height or position above the surface of the earth or any reference point taken to the sea level. So due to configuration, this kind of energy we are obtaining. Now suppose small m be the mass of the liquid and a height h above the sea level and capital V be its volume. Then that time the potential energy due to potential energy of liquid at height h, that can be written as mgh, you know this one. Now as potential energy per unit mass of the liquid, that is potential energy per unit mass, this is now potential energy, this is potential energy per unit mass, that will be equal to gh. And also we can calculate potential energy per unit volume of the liquid. So potential energy per unit volume and that can be written as now mgh upon V now. And also the volume we can write m by h, that is equal to density of the liquid, and gh. So rho gh, this one you can write. So here one by one in all press energies we have seen, first of all the expression for energy, after that energy per unit mass, and then energy per unit volume. All these three sections we have seen. Clear? I think this is the energy that is possessed by the liquid whenever it is at some position, at some height above the sea level. Now the third type of energy that is possessed by the liquid, this is now the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy, you know, this is possessed by the virtue of the motion of the liquid by some velocity or with some velocity. So suppose small v be the velocity of the liquid of mass m, density rho, and volume v. So if liquid has volume v, mass m, density rho, that is moving with velocity v, then its kinetic energy that you can write by the formula, that is half mv square. Now we can also calculate kinetic energy per unit mass. So this will be half v square. Now we can also calculate kinetic energy per unit volume. So you can write half mv square upon v, or mass per unit volume, this section you can write by the density. So this will be half rho into v square. So this is all type of the energy that is possessed by the liquid, and their expressions we have seen up to now. Now let's see our next topic, that is very important, and it is based on this energy that is possessed by the liquid, and that is the Bernoulli theorem. So let's see now the Bernoulli theorems now. So Bernoulli's theorem, this is very important theorem while discussing hydrodynamics. So let's see what is the statement of this theorem. After that we will see its proof also. We will discuss later the applications based on the Bernoulli theorem and in daily life where we are using the knowledge of this principle or this theorem. So first of all, the statement of Bernoulli theorem is that for a streamlined flow of an ideal liquid, the total energy, that is the sum of pressure energy, potential energy and kinetic energy per unit mass remains constant at every pair cross section or every cross section throughout the liquid flow. The simple thing is that the total energy per unit mass of the liquid that will be constant at every point in any type of cross section if one condition will be fulfilled. First condition is the flow of the liquid should be streamlined. The second condition, liquid should be ideal. Ideal liquid has property of incompressible, and along with that one it has the property that is it is non-viscous. So these two properties are very important property that the ideal liquid has. So now let's see the proof of Bernoulli theorem after its statement. So just now I told you the ideal liquid, that means incompressible, non-viscous as well as non-rotational liquid. So it means liquid will have a very precise manners of flow that will be completely streamlined. And one more thing, if limitations you are seeing, then whenever this limitation will not hold, then these laws will violate also. So Bernoulli theorems will help you whenever there is a streamlined flow and there is ideal liquid. Only for that one, or the liquids that are nearly ideal, only for that one it will be applicable. Now let's see the proof of this. So to prove this theorem, consider a tube AB of varying cross section through which an ideal liquid that is flowing in streamlined flow. So we have a this kind of suppose tube we have. So that has varying cross section also. So that cross section is greater at this point and it is continuously decreasing, and at this end now it's you can see the cross section is decreased. So this is our point A, this is suppose point B. So two of the ends we are getting. Now in these two ends the flow of the liquid, that is streamlined flow. This liquid will flow in a very proper precise manner. So you can see this kind of flow of liquid we are getting. No two lines will intersect each other. So in such a way its flow you can just make now. Now after this one, let us suppose this is the sea level or this is the ground level, and this pipe is at some height from this ground level. So its center point, that is at the height above the ground, that is at H1 height, means we are giving the position to this pipe. And now the second one here, this one is at the height H2 from here. Now suppose the liquid that is entering at this point or this cross section at A, that has velocity v1, and liquid that is leaving this end B, that has velocity v2. Now the pressure at this end A, that is P1, the pressure at B, that is P2. First of all, these all things now we have supposed. After this one, let's see one more thing. Let's A1 and A2 are the cross-sectional area at these two ends. After this, here, if suppose rho is the density of the liquid that is flowing through this tube. Now, as liquid flow that will flow from A to B, then therefore we know that liquid will always flow from higher pressure to lower pressure according to the Pascal's law. So as it will flow from higher pressure to lower pressure, then P1 will be greater than P2 here. Clear, I think this one. Now let's see next one. The m mass of the liquid that is crossing per second through any cross section of the tube in accordance with the equation of continuity, that can be written as, so mass that is entering here, this will be A1 V1 into rho per second, means now this will be equal to the A2 V2 into rho according to the equation of continuity. Now we can also write it to this is equal to mass that is entered or mass that is leaving at B. So we can still now write this is A1 V1, this will be equal to A2 V2, this will be equal to m by rho from here. So we can see now this m by rho, that is obviously mass per unit density, and this will be equal to volume of the liquid. So this will be volume is equal to here. Now we can write down this one is just like the equation 1. So as you can see from here, A1 this will be greater than A2 and B1 this will be less than B2 by the equation of continuity, simple. So here if now we will calculate the next thing, that is the force on the liquid at section A. So force on the liquid at this section A, we just rub this one first. So as pressure here, that is P1, it has cross-sectional area A1, so we can write it. The force that is acting here, this is P1 into A1, and the force that is acting at B, this point, the force that will act, F2 is written as P2 is the pressure, A2 is the cross-sectional area, it will be P2 into A2 from here. After this, we can calculate the work done per second on the liquid by the pressure energy at surface A. So by the pressure energy, the work done will be equal to obviously force into velocity. So because per second we are talking, that's why we are here writing force into velocity. You know work done is force into displacement, and if you will take time as the ratio, then displacement upon the time, that is known as velocity. So we can write it F1 into V1. So the pressure here obviously the work done per second at A. So suppose W, I am giving it name, work done at A, this is equal to F1 into V1. So we can write P1 A1 into V1 from here. Similarly, we can calculate the work done by the liquid against the pressure energy at cross section B. So at B, the work done will be force into again velocity at B. So this will be P2 A2 into V2. So these are now the work done at two ends, and also just now we have calculated that from equation 1 previously. A1 V1 this was equal to V, so we can write P1 into V, and A2 V2 this is also equal to V, so we can write P2 into V from here. So now we can calculate net work done, that is done by the liquid by flowing from A point to B point in the tube due to the pressure energy variation from A to B, because if they are at different then they will have different pressure. So the pressure variation, this will be that will be equal to WA minus WB from here. So this will be total pressure energy, total pressure or net pressure energy from here. I think PR I can write it, pressure energy. So this will be difference of these two, and this is P1 minus P2 into V from here. You can write it now first one. After this discussion, the next thing, when the mass m of the liquid that will flow in 1 second from A to B to and its height increases from H1 to H2 and its velocity increases from V1 to V2, then increase in potential energy per second of the liquid from A to B. So just now we have first calculated the difference in pressure energy. Now we will see whenever the liquid that is moving from A to B, so what will be the change in potential energy, and after that we will discuss also what will be the change in kinetic energy per second. So all these three energies, whenever we will calculate, we will take their sum and we will see whether it is constant or not here. So second term is after this one, this is whenever H1 to H2 this height will change, then the potential energy per second, this will be equal to mg H2 minus of mg H1, because here the potential energy will be mg H2, here mg H1, and H2 is greater than H1, that's why we will take its difference now from here. Now next one after this we can see the increase in kinetic energy of the liquid from A to B, because the velocity is increasing from here to here. V1, V2 is greater than V1, just now we have seen previously. So that is also there is increment in kinetic energy as well as there is increment in potential energy. So how much the energy is increased per second, that can be calculated as the change in, this is change in potential energy. Now change in kinetic energy, we can write it half mv2 square minus of half mv1 square from here. Now let's see according to the work energy principle. So according to work energy principle, the decrement in or work done by the liquid by the pressure energy, because pressure energy is decreasing whenever we are going from A to B, but other two energies that are increasing. So if the energy should be constant, energy should be conserved according to energy conservation law, then whatever the energy that is decreasing from here to here, that should be equal to the energies that are increasing from here to here. So as we have seen, pressure energy that is greater at point A and lower at point B, so pressure energy is decreasing, and that decrement in pressure energy is equal to the sum of increment in potential energy and kinetic energy. So let's write down now the equation by using the concept of here energy conservation. I am just going to rub it because we needed the figure up to now. Now whenever we will write the decrement in pressure energy, so that you have seen this is P1 minus P2 into P. So according to our work energy theorem, this should be equal to increment in potential energy. So increment in potential energy was mg h2 minus of mg h1 plus the increment in kinetic energy. So increment in kinetic energy was half m v2 square minus of half m v1 square from here. Now let's rearrange this whole of the formula. So if you will rearrange it, then it can be written as P1V plus mgh1 plus half of mv1 square. This should be equal to P2V. Let's take P2V this side and these negative signs this side. So we can rearrange this whole of the equation in this order: H2 plus half of mv2 square. Now in this equation, what you can see from here, this is now the total energy at cross section A, and this is now the total energy at cross section B per second. So it means that these total energies are constant, or if we will divide this whole of the equation by by m, small m, because according to Bernoulli concept, the total energy per unit mass that is always conserved throughout the any cross section of the tube if the liquid is flowing in streamline and that is idle liquid. So it will be P1 upon m into V plus GH1 plus half V1 square. This will be now equal to P2 by m into V plus GH2 plus half of V2 square. So you can write now this line, and after writing this line, student, next one, as you know, m by v, that is here density. So in the place of m by v, you can write the density of the liquid. So density of liquid, that will become rho from here in both lines, or in another line you can write, because you can see now the total energy per unit mass that is conserved. So we can write finally P by rho in general GH plus half V square. This term is constant, and this is now the proof of Bernoulli theorem that you can see from here. So easily you can prove it. That is very simple to prove. That is, I think, easy here, and you can have the number of statements for the Bernoulli principle. So we can have now a different format of this theorem also. After the proof of it, let's see how many forms we can write it. The first form you can see in bracket already, and that is for the total energy per unit mass. In different term, if you will write it, this will be now P plus, you can multiply rho from here, so it will be rho GH plus half of rho V square, that will be gain constant. So as students, before this one, while we were discussing the energy possessed by the liquid, and that time we have seen this was equal to the sum of the energies per unit volume, that is constant, and this is now per unit volume. So P and rho g h and half rho v square, just now we have seen in the case of all this one. So three formats of this we have seen now. Now along with these forms we can have also some different forms, and that different forms are now two other different forms we have, and that we are also using broadly while discussing the application. The first form, if we will divide this whole equation number this one by z, so let's divide it by g and we will get P upon rho g plus h plus half v square by g. This will be also constant because g is already constant we have. So this is already means another constant we will have. We can also have this one form. So here the first term you have seen, this first term, this is now known as pressure head. Now the second term you can see from here, this second term is known as now gravitational head. Gravitational head, and now the third one you can know, this is now known as velocity head. So these are now the three heads we have. Means we can just use these one to understand also the individual energies of the liquid that is possessed by it. Now after this one we can just state again the Bernoulli theorems in this heads, that is, in a streamlined flow of an ideal liquid, the sum of pressure head, gravitational head and the velocity head at every cross section of the liquid, that is constant. So this is another form, and one more another form can be here. If the tube that was lying at different height, that height is same, means if a tube is horizontal, so for the horizontal tube, as H1 will be equal to H2, so no variation in potential energy we will have because there is no change in position. Position is same everywhere. So that time this second factor that will be that can be removed from here. So means H will be 0. So in this equation you can just write this is equal to P plus half rho V square. This will be constant. This is another form now. So we can state Bernoulli theorem again as in a streamline of an ideal liquid through a horizontal tube, the velocity increases where the pressure increases and vice versa. So this is known as Bernoulli theorem. Because whenever the pressure will increase, velocity will decrease. Sorry for that one. This would be P. And whenever the pressure will increase, velocity will decrease here. So this is our concept of now Bernoulli theorem. After this, students, let's see. Here one more name is given to this equation. This factor P alone, this is known as pressure, static pressure, and this factor is known as dynamic pressure. So we are calling because this pressure will be obtained due to static property and due to dynamic moving property of the liquid, and there is no position, so that's why we are not getting any property due to potential energy here in this case. Now let's see limitations of Bernoulli theorem. How much limitations we have while we were discussing, and as while deriving the formula we have taken a lot of limitations. The first limitation, while deriving the Bernoulli equation, we have assumed that velocity of every particle of liquid across any cross section of the tube is uniform. So practically it is not correct. Means at every point on the tube, even at a single cross section, it is not possible that liquid will have different same velocity, because you know liquid is flowing in a tube in a laminar flow, and in laminar flow velocity is decreasing from center to the wall. So at that time, even at a single cross section, even at 1 and A, the velocities will be different, but here we have taken that as constant. This is first limitation. The second limitation, while deriving we have assumed an ideal liquid, so that should have non-viscous property, that should have incompressible property, this should have obviously the property of compressibility that we have seen. So this is now all of the things. After this one, students, the next thing that is taken as a limitation, that was there is no loss of energy. But while whenever liquid is flowing, so some of the kinetic energy is lost in the forms of heat there. So that is also a thing that we was limitation. And one more limitation was this kind of equation is not derived for the turbulent flow. This is all laminar flow. This is only derived for the streamline flow. So students, I think all things is clear. So let's end our class here with this discussion. I think this is all clear. So let's end it. Thank you students for today.